Hey everyone, it's Jeff with Adventure Wagon. In this video, we're going to be going into the installation of the GOAT wheel well lockers. The only tools you're going to need are a ratchet wrench with a 14mm socket and a drill with a Phillips head bit to remove the small lower wall panel before the installation. And one last thing for the tool list, you're also going to need a tape measure. As far as hardware goes, you're just going to need the 9 L-Track studs that come in the hardware package for your wheel well storage locker. One thing to note is that this video is specifically going to be going over the installation into a Sprinter 144 with the 6-track smart floor and an Adventure Wagon conversion package with the updated fuse block location. The older fuse block location is still totally compatible with the GOAT wheel well locker. It just means that when the GOAT is installed, the top edge is going to be covering up the fuse block plate. So if you ever need to service your fuse block for whatever reason, you just need to pull the frame away from the wall. Also, if your van does not have this particular 6-track smart floor configuration, or if it doesn't have a smart floor at all, the wheel well lockers will still work fine. It just means that some additional hardware or different types of hardware might need to be used. We'll have some supplementary written instructions to help you with that. And if you have any questions about the compatibility of your van, feel free to reach out to us. All right, without further ado, let's get started with the installation. The first thing that we need to do is to get this small lower wall panel out of the way on the bottom end of this vertical L-Track here. So this is where you'll need your Phillips head screwdriver. We already took those screws out and we're just setting this aside. The front edge of the frame is going to live right in line with this vertical L-Track. And today we're only going to be installing the driver's side frame. The installation process is exactly the same on the passenger side, but there is a plastic cover that's equipped on most vans right here. Refer to your written instructions on how to modify this plastic panel slightly, just to make a little bit of extra room for the frame to tuck up against the wall. Now we're going to get our L-Track studs into place for the frame. So there's going to be 2 that go onto the rearmost vertical L-Track, another 2 that go into the forward vertical L-Track, and 5 that go along the L-Track that lives closest to the wall. And for the floor measurements, we're just going to be measuring from the edge of our rear floor trim like this. We're going to place our first stud at about 3.5 inches from the rear trim, then another one at about 23.5, then about 35.5, 53.5, and 62.5. Another note, 4 of the L-Track studs are going to come with little rubber washers here. Those 4 studs are going to be used for the wall L-Track. These rubber washers help hold this little piece on the L-Track stud. They keep the stud in place on the wall and they keep it from falling out. You don't need those for the floor because the floor L-Track studs will stay in place just fine. The L-Track studs for the wall are going to be placed at about 8 inches from the floor and about 12 inches from the floor. And that's the same for the front and back L-Track. If these exact measurements aren't quite lining up with what you see, that's okay. The point is you're just trying to get the L-Track stud through one of the rectangular holes in the frame. Now that the hardware is in place, we're ready to bring the frame in and secure that. So I brought the wheel well locker right down to where we're going to be mounting it. This is also a good time to grab the square washers out of your hardware package because you're going to need those for all of the L-Track studs on the floor. And I'm just setting myself up to lift the frame up over the L-Track studs on the floor and fit them over the L-Track studs coming out of the wall kind of at the same time. All right, and now we're ready to thread the nuts onto the L-Track studs and tighten everything down. This is where you're going to use all your flat square washers on every single one of the L-Track studs on the floor, and you're finally going to bring in your ratchet wrench with the 14mm socket. One last step before I go through and tighten everything down with the ratchet is I'm just going to push on the frame, make sure it's seated nice and tight up against the wall. Once I'm satisfied that it's seated correctly, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten everything down. And the last thing we're going to do is take this plastic piece out of our hardware kit. We're going to insert it in the rectangular opening at the bottom of the C-pillar like this. And we're going to take our panel that we took off initially and we're going to put it in place here. That plastic piece will give us a place for the self-tapping screw to go back in here and here. So that's it for the GOAT wheel well storage locker installation for the Sprinter 144. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, give us a call, or email us at info@adventurewagon.com. And thanks for watching.